Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 21st and tonight's movie is A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. This is far and away the most interesting movie of the month. Just in concept, it is fascinating to me. This is a movie that is made in America, but it's all in Persian. It's a vampire movie, but it's in the style of a Western, and it's all in black and white. I think that the writer/director, Anna Lilia Mirpour, just wanted to make something no one else has ever thought of, and I think she succeeded. I get the impression that this movie is rather art house, and art house movies and me, we don't always see eye to eye. I tend to like my horror movies a lot more straightforward. It's kind of hard to gauge what this movie is going to be like just from the trailer. There seems to be two major characters, a woman and a man. The woman is a vampire, and the man, I think he's just a criminal. I honestly have no idea what to expect from this movie, and that's kind of exciting. I'm gonna go check it out. While this movie definitely was interesting, and there wasn't really anything necessarily wrong with it, it just wasn't for me. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10. This ended up being a movie that if it speaks to you, I'm sure it's really good, but it didn't speak to me. I just thought it was kind of boring. And though it brands itself as a horror movie, it's really more of a romance with like a horror subplot. It's sort of like Let Me In. There's not a whole lot that actually happens in this movie. It's more about the atmosphere and the mood of a given scene. There are two main characters in this movie. The first is the vampire. They never name her, not even in the credits, so I'm just gonna call her the vampire. And a man named Arash. This kind of takes like the Western archetypes and sort of does a gender swap on it, because the vampire is the mysterious stranger who has like a vigilante streak, and Arash is basically the person who needs to be saved from his situation. The situation being he has to take care of his drug-addicted father. We know a little bit about Arash, but we know nothing about the vampire. We don't know where she came from, how long she's been in the area, what she plans to do, how old she is. We know nothing about this woman. She just stays in her apartment all day, and at night she like prowls around the area. With some people, she will like attack and like devour them by drinking their blood, but with some of them, she just like messes with them. Like there was this point where there was this little boy, and she just decided to scare him. And then she steals his skateboard. And the image of her using this skateboard is very humorous to me because she's wearing like this headscarf. It's called a chador, or if that's how you say it, where it starts at her head and like goes all the way down to like her feet, and it almost looks like a nun outfit. And seeing her ride a skateboard on that is kind of humorous. This isn't a story or character-oriented movie, it's a mood-oriented movie, and some of the scenes actually worked pretty well. I liked a lot of the scoring and the soundtrack of this movie, but I found it lacking in the story department, the character department, and the horror department. There are some scenes with the vampire that are done well to create like a sense of terror, but they are few and far between. Most of it is just the story of the vampire and Arash like getting together. I would like to say yet again that this movie is not necessarily bad. I can see that a lot of effort was put into it. It just wasn't what I'm looking for, and I don't really have too much else to say about it. Now I want to talk about what few spoilers there are. The one event that sort of sets everything else into motion in this movie is when the vampire kills a drug dealer named Saeed. He is the one who is supplying drugs to Arash's dad. And that's good for most of the characters because he was hounding Arash for money. He even like took his car keys and was driving around in his car. But that's not good for his dad because now he doesn't have anywhere to get his drugs. That situation just keeps getting worse until Arash just decides to up and leave. When he found the drug dealer's dead body, he stole a briefcase that was full of drugs and money, and he was using that to make his money. And he gets so fed up with his dad that he just like tosses some drugs at his feet and some money and just leaves. And the dad uses that money to pick up a prostitute who we saw occasionally throughout the movie. And when he tries to force himself on her, the vampire like breaks into the room and then kills him. Arash learns about it the next day, and he is understandably upset about it, even though he was mad at him. But the real kicker is that he goes to the vampire's house, and he doesn't know that she's a vampire, and he doesn't know that she killed his dad. He just wants to leave, and he wants to take her with him. But then he sees his cat, because he had a cat the whole time and he left without the cat, so the dad just took it. But then when the dad got murdered, she just took the cat for herself. And when he sees the cat in her apartment, he realizes, wait, she has something to do with my dad dying. And the last scene of the movie is them driving away, and there's a part where Arash pulls over, stops the car, and gets out and like walks around, and it's sort of like she's wondering. He knows, is he just gonna leave me? What is he gonna do? But eventually he just gets back in the car and they keep driving. Once again, is kind of reminiscent of the way that Let Me In ended. I really don't have that much to say about A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I can respect the aesthetic of it, I can respect the artistry of it, but it's not what I'm looking for. And that's that on that. I'll see you tomorrow.